I work the night desk at a small police station outside town. The night shift is usually quiet. After midnight, most officers are out on patrol and the building feels empty. It's usually just me at the front desk, a few lights on, and the sound of the old air vents humming in the ceiling. That night, we had one prisoner in the holding cells, a man picked up for breaking into a storage unit. Nothing violent, just a quiet guy in his late 30s. Dark hair, thin face, and very calm. Too calm. He was placed in cell 3, the last cell at the end of the hallway. Around 2:30 a.m., I checked the security monitors like I always do. The camera for cell 3 showed the man sitting on the metal bed, leaning forward with his elbows on his knees. He wasn't moving, just staring at the floor. Something about it made me uneasy. At 2:40 a.m., I looked at the monitor again. Cell 3 was empty. I leaned closer to the screen. The bed was there, the toilet, the concrete wall, but the man was gone. My first thought was that maybe another officer moved him for questioning, but nobody had walked past the front desk, and the cell doors can't open without a key card. So I grabbed my radio and walked down the hallway toward the cells. The station felt colder back there. The lights flickered a little as I walked past the empty rooms and offices. When I reached cell 3, I looked through the bars. The man was sitting on the bed. Same position as before. Elbows on knees, head slightly down. I froze. I was looking at the monitor less than a minute ago. The cell was empty. I cleared my throat. "You all right in there?" He didn't answer. Didn't even move. I walked back to the desk, trying to convince myself the camera must have glitched. At 3:05 a.m., I checked the monitors again. The man was now standing. He was right in front of the camera, very close to the bars. His face filled most of the screen. He was staring directly into the lens, and he was smiling. Not a normal smile, a slow, quiet smile, like he knew something I didn't. I felt my stomach drop, because while I was staring at the screen, I heard something behind me. A metal sound, like someone lightly tapping on bars, from the cell hallway. I used to work the late shift as a dispatcher at a small police station. Most nights were slow. After midnight, the phone almost never rang unless there was a car crash or someone reporting loud music. That night, it was quiet. Too quiet. It was around 1:50 a.m. I was sitting behind the dispatch desk drinking cold coffee and filling out reports. The hallway lights were dim, and most of the officers were out on patrol. Then the phone rang. 911, what's your emergency? For a few seconds, there was only static. Then I heard someone breathing. Very slow, very quiet. "Hello?" I said again. A man's voice finally spoke, almost whispering. "Someone is inside the station." I frowned. "Sir, what do you mean? Where are you calling from?" The line went silent. Then the call ended. I checked the caller ID on the screen. The number looked strange. Instead of a normal phone number, it showed an internal line, a line from inside the building. I assumed it was a system error, maybe a glitch in the phone system. The station was old, and the equipment wasn't exactly new. I went back to my paperwork. About 5 minutes later, the phone rang again. Same number. I answered. 911, what's your emergency? The same breathing came through the phone, then the same whisper. Someone is inside the station. This time I felt a chill run through me. Sir, where exactly are you? I asked. The voice paused. Then it said something that made my chest tighten. In the hallway. I slowly looked toward the hallway behind the dispatch desk. The lights were on, but the corridor was empty. No movement, no sound. Just the hum of the fluorescent lights. My hand tightened around the phone. Sir, what hallway? I asked. But the line had already gone dead. I stood up and walked to the doorway behind the desk. The hallway led to the report rooms and the evidence office. Everything looked normal, empty. I walked back to the desk, trying to calm myself down. Then the phone rang again. Same internal number. My hands were shaking a little when I answered. 911? The whisper came immediately this time. He's behind you. My heart started pounding. I turned around slowly. The hallway was still empty, but one thing had changed. The door to the evidence room was open. I was sure it had been closed before. I worked the night shift at a small police station on the edge of town. Most nights were quiet. A few calls, a few patrols, nothing serious. That night, Officer Daniels was out on patrol. Daniels had been with the department for years. Calm guy, never nervous about anything. Around 2 a.m., he radioed in saying he was going to check a call about a suspicious vehicle parked near an old warehouse road outside town. That was the last normal thing I heard from him. A few minutes later, his radio cut in again, but it was just static. I tried calling him back. Unit 12, do you copy? Nothing. Just more static. I assumed the signal dropped. The area near the warehouses always had bad radio reception. It wasn't unusual. Around 2:30 a.m., I stepped outside for a minute to get some air. That's when I saw the patrol car. Daniel's car was pulling slowly into the station parking lot. The headlights were on, but the car was moving very slowly, like it was just rolling forward. I waited for Daniels to step out, but nobody got out. The car stopped in the middle of the lot. The engine was still running. I walked closer. Daniels? I called out. No answer. I opened the driver's door. The seat was empty. The patrol radio was still on, quietly buzzing with static. The keys were still in the ignition, but Daniels wasn't there. My stomach dropped. The car had somehow driven back to the station with no one inside. I checked the back seat. Empty. I grabbed my radio. Unit 12 is back at the station, I said, but the vehicle is empty. The other officers thought I was joking, but I wasn't. We searched the entire area that night. The warehouse road, the empty lots, the woods nearby. No sign of Daniels. Nothing. The strange part is what the dash camera recorded. The video showed Daniels driving down the warehouse road like normal. Then the car suddenly stopped. Daniels looked out the windshield for a few seconds. Then he opened the door and stepped out. But he didn't look scared. He looked confused, like he saw someone he recognized. He walked a few steps away from the car. Then he stepped completely out of frame. The camera kept recording for almost 20 minutes. Nobody else appeared. Then the car slowly started moving again and drove all the way back to the station by itself. Daniels was never found.